All right. How come we are small? There it is. There we are. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Welcome tonight to God's Prepared Warrior Live. And hopefully all of you guys can hear me and hear me well. I have all of the lights blinking over here, and everything is good to go over here in TikTok land. And hopefully you guys in YouTube can hear me. OVP says, Lima Charlie, welcome in, my friend. OVP, good to see you here. Grit and Grace, thank you for joining us tonight. Make sure you go and check out their channels. Ohio Valley Prepping. He has an awesome channel, and so does Grit and Grace. And make sure you follow them. From the Ashes Homestead is in here also. Make sure you're following their page also. Scott, my friend, is in here. So is Glenn Anderson. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I don't see Salt Miss is if she's here or not. Hopefully she will make it tonight. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I am excited to be here. Have some updates to give you guys today, and of course, as always, going to share with you the channel news because that is important, right? You guys are important, and I love sharing what you guys are doing here on the channel. Welcome in, Rule 2IC, my friend. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm glad you are here, my friend. We have a good talk tonight. I'm really excited. I've been getting ready for tonight, and it's going to be a good segment tonight when we get to that part of the show. All right. So as always, we look at the channel news here because this channel is made up of not just me and this crazy looking beard, but it is all of you who like and share and subscribe and follow the channel. And so we're on many platforms. We're on Facebook. We have our Facebook page. We have a group in Facebook. So if you are on Facebook and you are following the page, hopefully you're following the community on the groups tab. We have a community on the groups tab that is God's Prepared Warrior Community on that tab. So make sure you're checking that out. Shelly, welcome in, Shelly. I'm glad you're here tonight. Thank you for joining us. And make sure hi, Marissa. Thank you for joining us over on TikTok. If you haven't followed that, so make sure you do that. In there on the community page is where you're going to see more personal things from me and things there. So make sure you're following there on Facebook if you have Facebook. We are also on Instagram, God's Prepared Warrior on Instagram. You can also follow us on Rumble. We're on Rumble. I just need to upload in there too. I just keep forgetting about Rumble sometimes. But yeah, we're there too. And you can always follow my webpage. All of the links are in the description for tonight's live stream. So if you go to the description, you'll find all that information in there. Just click on it. Also, if you would like the devotional that I post out on Mondays that didn't get posted out today, I'll explain why here in a little bit. But that goes out on Monday, and then Tuesday I post a blog. So if you have gone to the website and you have gone to the contact page and filled out the little thing, I want this in my inbox, you will get that in your inbox, and you get it on Monday and Tuesday, and everyone else has to wait till Thursday and Friday. So just saying, we can, if you want that early, there's the option that you can do. Go to the website, click on the contact page, and just fill out the little information. That way I can get you connected with the Warrior Devotional and the Warrior Blog on Monday and Tuesday. All right, guys. So let's look at the channel news. On YouTube, we are today at 1,123 subscribers strong. We gained 9 new members this week. That's super awesome. I'm thankful for that. TikTok, over on TikTok, we are sitting at 4,020 followers there. We are up 11 new community followers there. On the Facebook page, we're up right at 218. Facebook community stayed the same at 45. We're there. And then over on X, we lost one. We're at 10,000. Right. We're at 1,049 there on X. And then over on Instagram, we gained 2 new community members there, and we're at 1149. So that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for just kind of sharing the videos, liking them, commenting. I love your comments, and I love to interact with all of you. So make sure that you are communicating in that way, because I really, really love to connect with all of you. So make sure you're doing that. So thank you guys for making that contribution through liking and sharing the channel. That is pretty awesome. That kind of helps us grow even more. It pushes us out there. The algorithm gets pushed out, and it gets us thrown further. So let's continue to share the information with family and friends, right? So thank you guys for stopping in and joining us tonight. Let's look at what's happening in the news. If you would like to follow all of that, I do have that in the link in the description below. You can follow along with that information that I'm about to share. The first one is coming from CNN. It says more airport disruptions expected as TSA agents quit amid the first week without full pay. So we're in the government shutdown again, and the TSA agents are not able to pay their workers. And so many of them have quit. This is the first week without full pay. And so people are leaving because they're not getting paid, basically, is what it is. And so here we are again, stuck in this mess with, these poor people, right? They're going through it. So hopefully, our government can pull its head out of its butt so that we can get these poor folks pay, right? I mean, they're doing their job. Why should they have to suffer because somebody else doesn't want whatever's happening over there, right? So let's continue to pray for this situation, those families that are being affected by that. And also this is kind of compounded with the weather, right? Because people are trying to travel, and we're going through all of this crazy weather here in the United States. And today in Texas, it is cold. We woke up this morning to 43 degrees and cold. It was really windy last night as I was working on the computer. It was real windy. I could hear the wind blowing really hard. That it blew the tops off of the garbage cans. So this morning when I went outside, all the garbage can tops were blown off, and it's just was pretty crazy as the winter weather came in. Scott, how cold was it in your area? Because Scott lives with me here in Texas. So here was 43, and I think we were at 60 all day. So it was kind of cool, and we still had a lot of wind happening. We were in this alert for the wind, and there's been burn bans in place because of the wind. And so people couldn't burn their trash if they lived out in the rural area. So I mean, it's y'all fly to travel. Yeah, we do. What's up, PR? Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. People are stuck, and the weather is not helping at all. So let's keep that in prayer. I mean, there's just so much compounded there on the airports and things like that with the shutdown and all of that happening. Here's the next one. This one is coming from The Guardian. And Trump predicts the U.S. will have the honor of taking Cuba amid the blackout. Um, man, I'm going to read this to you, and you can laugh with me. But it says here, Donald Trump expects to have the honor of taking Cuba. He declared after a U.S. imposed oil blockade plunged the country into darkness under a total power blackout. So right now, Cuba is in a blackout situation. There's no power, and the the country is collapsing right as we speak. The U.S. president claimed today that he could do anything, right? Uh, Anything I want with Cuba amid all of the stuff that's happening there, right? He said, all of my life I've been hearing about United States and Cuba. With all the United States, when when will the United States do it? Trump told reporters at the White House on Monday. He says, I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. Trump added, whether I free it, whether I take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? He says, and they are a very weakened nation right now, and so yeah, so it looks like there are now in negotiations with the United States. I think I saw another publication saying that they were starting to talk. I think the president was inviting communication with the United States because now they're in total darkness. And there's been a few pictures that I've seen online, and it is pretty scary to think, you know, what those people are having to go through. So let's go and let's go ahead and remember to keep those folks in prayer. Hi Tammy, welcome in. Thank you so much. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Glad you are here. Yeah, so let's keep that in prayer. I think that's an important thing for us to pray about. These I can't even imagine that. I'm going to tell you a funny story here in a little bit. I'm not going to give out any names because they will choke me if I do. I won't tell you how closely connected they are to me, but yeah, she might be watching, so I can't give you a name. But all right, so Cuba's in the dark, and they are. It's not getting any better for them. This next one comes from Axios, and it says 4 Iran pressure points to watch out for this week. So there are things happening over there right now. In There's a lot of stuff happening over there in Iran right now, and it's pretty crazy. Trump and his aides have mentioned varying timelines for ending the war, but with heavily damage, heavy damage, but defiant. Iran is sticking to their guns, right? So that's something to really pay attention because they said that this was going to be pretty quick. At least that was the plan, and yeah, they actually have more things than we thought they had, right? And so this is something to really pay attention to because it is also affecting what is happening around us, and this is what we're gonna be talking about here in just a few minutes, because there are so many things that can really affect the United States, and we have to be watchful for this kind of stuff. It's important for all of us to be doing it. So yeah. So welcome in, guys. Thank you for joining. I see you guys are hitting it up over here on the chats. Really good tonight. So the question I have for you, and maybe one of you would like to kind of, or maybe all of you would like to comment here on this question I have, is what do you think is going to happen with Iran, right? Is the United States going to take Iran? Are we going to end this war pretty quickly? Or is this going to continue on? I would love to know what you guys think tonight on that. And I want to see if well what your thoughts are, because I kind of truly believe that we kind of stepped in an area where maybe we shouldn't have yet, because, like I said, their thought process was to really end this pretty quickly. Go in there, some shock and awe, and you know, and yeah, it's not happening that way. There's a lot of stuff that is actually now kind of happening over here now, right? Um, let's see. Shelley says, I think there's a few things going on with Iran. Ending British Empire, globalist control is one thing. Yes, that is true. Very true. I think they're trying to control the hands that are in the cookie jar, if I can say that loosely, right? Thank you, Shelley, for sharing that tonight. I think it's important because what and you guys have heard me say this before many times on a lot of videos that I've shared, is what happens over there is going to eventually happen over here, and we're actually seeing that happening, right? I did a poll from Chat GBT on, give me a list of all of the attacks, right, that we have had since the beginning of the year, and it gave me several. Its location, time of day that it happened, what was the scenario, and we have had a lot of shootings. We've had a lot of just crazy chaoticness in the United States because of this war, right? Um, OVP says we're going to see boots on the ground very soon, and yes, I agree with you. I think so too. Yeah, because like I said, they stepped in it and they weren't ready. They really weren't ready. So we've been seeing a lot of things that are coming out that um, we have people who are lone terrorists who are you know doing this thing in the name of Allah for Iran, and things like that. And so we're starting to see it more and more. So there are signs out there for all of us to see. Glenn says the war will be over soon, but our involvement will last a long time. Yes. And I've heard actually people say that it's like um, the war we had with Iraq, and so that it took a while. So I am believing the same. Thank you, Glenn, for sharing that. So yeah, so tonight I want to talk about what's really happening around us, because if you are somewhat like me, you have an awareness about you, and you're not just idly living life like nothing's happening outside, when there are a lot of things happening, right? So tonight, I just want to talk about something that all of us that are in the preparedness space, right? That we need to develop the ability to read all of the signs that we see, right? I asked you guys to kind of share a little bit about what you thought, because I want to know how many of you are paying attention to what's happening, not just in your area, but on a wide scale, right? Because, like I say, what happens over there will eventually happen over here, and I've seen it since the beginning, since the Lord brought me into this space and the Lord opened my eyes. I've been seeing a progression, right? Um, Tammy says huge fires in Nebraska. Prayers for them. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Tammy. And see, that's what I'm talking about. Preparedness in or well, awareness in preparedness, right? It's important for us to be aware of the things that are happening, right? Because we talk about all of the beans and the bullets and things like that, right? But in reality, preparedness begins with awareness. And so, you know, a prepared person, a prepared warrior, in our instance, right? We watch our environment, we watch what's happening around us, and we pay attention to the patterns because there's patterns that happen, right? We can see that one thing over here is happening, and because of that, there's a ripple effect that happens. That wave comes our way and we begin to see things happening there. So it's important for us to be aware of those things that are happening around us, right? We watch our environment, we pay attention to those patterns, and we notice when things begin to shift. And so because of this war with Iran, because of that, we're beginning to see all of these shifts and movements, right? And if you really, really have been paying attention, there really hasn't been anything from China as of late, right? It's like they went quiet for a little bit. So I think they are just watching and waiting, right? Along with Russia to see what the United States is going to do in this situation. And so we got to have an ear on that kind of a thing, right? Let's see. Glenn says more and more synagogues are being attacked, not just here, but globally. Yes, that is correct. That is happening. And that's one of the things that when I asked chat, it pulled up all of that information. So, yeah, we are seeing more and more of this happening on a wide scale around us, right? Domestic incidents across the country, we see that happening. We see rising tensions overseas, and then we begin to see the economic signals, right? We know that Cuba is falling, right, or has fallen, and now it's in the dark. And so now, according to Donald Trump, well, it's just on what I want to do with it, right? I get to it's my new pet, and so I'm gonna do whatever I want to do with it. So tonight, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about, what is really happening around us, and what should we, as prepared warriors, be doing with all this information that we're getting, right? So, domestic incidents are happening across the country. What does that mean for us? That means that wherever we go, we should be on a high level alert, right? We no longer live in an age where we can just, go out and, plan to have a good time willy nilly, because guess what? You just never know when tragedy is going to strike. And so it's important to really pay attention to where we are, what we're going to do, what is the people population at this event or whatever. What does that look like? Is security involved? Don't I wouldn't say trust that security, because you really need to be kind of security for you and your family at the same time. We're going to see violence and instability, right? And it's not isolated anymore to just one place anymore. We're starting to see it, as Glenn says, we're starting to see it pop up here and there, right? And we're starting to see this also in different cities across the country, in places that stuff has really never happened. And so we're beginning to see that. We're beginning to see shootings. We're beginning to see stabbings. We're beginning to see random violence just kind of play out in the streets around us, right? So we it's important for us to be aware. Um, um, Prepping. I'm not even gonna prepping. Says China and Russia have been far from quiet. They have been, right? Because they're watching and they're waiting. Uh, you know, it's I think they're watching to see what's going to happen next with us, right? So listen to this. I think it's important for us, because this what I'm wanting to share with you tonight is not about fear. It's all about awareness, right? Um, we understand that instability can happen anywhere, right? We're seeing it on the news, right? If you pay attention to the news, there's these little pop-up things that are happening, right? And a lot of people are under the illusion that, oh, well, that won't happen here. Said the person where this last event just happened and said, it won't happen here. And tragedy strikes, right? Um, you know, we have to understand that we no longer live in that space anymore where it's okay to walk around and you'll be okay, right? Because now, you know, there are people in our country that don't belong, and they're only here to cause chaos, and it's important for us to be ready for that. So, um there's a question that I want to ask you. If something did happen where you are, would you be ready? This is the question that I have. If something was to happen, what anything, it doesn't have to be, violence. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Um, if something was to happen in your area, whether that's a tornado, right? Because tornadoes have already come to the United States already early. Would you be prepared, right, for a scenario, right? I'm gonna share with you a story. Uh, I'm gonna have to kind of give you a little bit of who this person is, but yesterday, my my daughter was talking to my wife, or my son-in-law was talking to my wife, and all of a sudden the lights go out in their house, and um, and so they're scrambling, looking for, and this is at night, so they're scrambling, looking for lights. Um, and I get a text from my daughter to call her. I call her, and I'm like, "What's happening?" She's like, "Dad, the lights are out, and this man is not prepared." Talking about my son-in-law. And I thought that was the funniest thing because my daughter knew to call dad because dad's ready, right? And so it kind of sparked an opportunity for them to really ask the question, are we prepared for an event, right? In their case, it was lights out, right? Because of the high winds, a lot of people lost electricity yesterday here where I live, and so it was pretty bad. A lot of people were out, and so it sparked in them the importance of being prepared, right? And so the great thing is that my daughter bought my son-in-law a camping fan that has a light, rechargeable. You guys probably seen the video where I have mine when I went camping, and it's the exact same thing. And that was their saving grace, was that fan with a light, and they were they were able to have some light in their house. So this is important because we have to have a plan, right? If it's a plan for lights out, we got to have that plan, right? You can't be on the day looking and scrambling for things that you have not taken care of, right? In this case, no flashlights. And if there were, probably weren't charged, no candles, to at least give some light. And so, are we really, really prepared to respond? And do we have a plan for a situation, right? And so, I love lights out because I'm prepared, I'm ready, always ready. I have everything next to me and near me, and it's that important. But we're living in a time where we really now have to think ahead. You know, because we're prepared individuals, we have to think ahead. We have to ask these questions. Am I prepared for this scenario? Am I prepared for that scenario, depending on where you live, right? Because I've never been through a tornado or an earthquake, so I don't know what that's like. Am I prepared for it? No, right? Because those will never happen here. Can they? I'm sure they can. But since I've been alive, I've never experienced any of that, right? But some of you have, and some of you are prepared for those things because you've experienced them before. Kind of like snowvid, right? When snow hit Texas and we didn't know what to do with snow because it's normally hot here. It's been hot, and today was the winter day for us. I think it's going to be cold tomorrow again. But after that, it's going to be hot all over again. So that's the question we need to be asking ourselves. Am I prepared for these things to happen, right? We're seeing global tensions, right? Global tensions, not just with Iran. We're seeing stuff with um, Cuba now, and there are just all of these little things that are popping off. There's a few other little things happening in Asia right now, also, and it's important for us to stay alert to those things that are happening. Why? Because our soldiers can be positioned in those places, and it's important for us to keep them in prayer, right? So let's kind of zoom out right now, look at out of the local picture, and let's look at the global picture right now. So we're seeing a lot of things happening with the United States, Israel, and Iran, right? And when conflicts like these begin to escalate, it creates this ripple effect that goes across the world, right? And we feel it, right? I did a video the other day, and I basically said, don't stop at the gas pump, right? I mean, not literally. I'm talking about don't stop thinking of this war with Iran being a thing about the gas pump because it goes beyond that. Most of our stuff is touched with oil, right? And it runs ships, it runs shipping, it runs all of this stuff, and so that touches a lot of things that we currently receive. And so if that is being affected over there, we're going to feel and we're going to see those ripple effects happening economically. We're going to see instability. We're going to see supply chain disruptions. We're going to see cyber attacks because that's what's been happening, right? Here recently, that happened. There was a cyber attack. We're going to see terror threats. We're seeing those actually play out around the United States. And then we're just seeing a lot of political tension. Ever since Trump became the president, I think we've always had political tension. And so, we're still seeing a lot of that, right? History shows us that when major powers start moving pieces on the global chessboard, right? Things become unpredictable. We begin to see economic things happening in our world, right? OVP says fertilizer is going to be a huge issue. Yes, you are right. You are right, my friend. And so I'm actually seeing a lot of TikTok videos about diesel. There's a guy that I follow, he's hilarious. But yeah, even that kind of stuff, for shipping, right? But we're going to see these things. Prepared warriors don't ignore the reality that these things are happening. We have to look at those things and we have to see them and we have to recognize them because the ripple effect that comes from those things is going to affect us eventually, right? So we don't ignore the reality, but again, we don't respond out of fear either, right? We respond with wisdom and preparation. And so I took a picture, and my friend Glenn told me on the picture because I went to Costco this weekend, and it was insane. The whole store. I mean, from what I could see, every parking spot for the store was taken. There's an overflow that kind of overflows to where the gas station is, and all of that was full. And we went to the gas station to put gas, and this place was packed. So all the gas lines are full, right? And it flows out into the parking area of Costco, and then it flows out into the entrance of the shopping center where the Costco is here where I live. And then it runs alongside, the line runs alongside the frontage road to come into the shopping center, right? So beyond normal for what I, go to the pump during the week. And so, I was like, check this out, because I go to the pump sometimes on the weekend too. But I haven't gone to Costco on the weekend, and that place was just nuts. So I took that picture. Glenn said, it's the weekend, Fernando. Everybody goes out to put gas on the weekend. So I'm going to test that, Glenn, and I'm going to go this week during the week to see what that looks like. I'm not saying that you're lying. Trust me, I'm not saying that. I want to see it for myself because I really think because we're looking at $3 gas here where I live in Texas, and that's a lot. We're used to 240, 230 a gallon, and now we're over three. So that's pretty tight. So we're gonna see all of that, all of those things happening, coming our way, right? We're gonna see economic signals, right? This is just another sign to look at, right? And it's one of the biggest ones right now, one of the biggest signals right now, right? The price of oil. We're seeing that. We saw not too long ago, maybe last week, when all of this began to change. We saw over $100 a barrel, right? When I checked it then, it had gone back down to like $95 a barrel. But there's a fluctuation that's happening with that too, and so with the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, with Iran bombing the ships that are trying to get through there, all of that is being affected in that area, right? And so we're seeing that. So whenever there is instability in the Middle East, the oil markets react almost immediately, right? Especially when they're shutting down the lines to be able to get in and out. So we're starting to see all of that, right? Shipping is going to go up. We're going to see that. Transportation costs are going to go up. Speaking of shipping going up, so we last weekend, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, my espresso machine went down. And so we scrambled around to look for someone to repair it, found a person, and he found us the part. And the part was costing us, I think, $160. But what boggled my brain was that the shipping cost was $120 for this one little copper piece for our espresso machine, and plus labor to install that piece, right? And so the shipping is what blew my mind. But because this piece is not from here, it came from China, we had to pay big time on that shipping. So shipping costs are going to go up. We're going to start to see food prices eventually go up. Even just everyday goods are going to become more expensive. Why is that? Because oil touches every part of the economy. And so this is something for us to really be in prayer about. It's something for us to really be watchful over, because this ripple effect is going to hit a lot of things. We have to think beyond the gas pump, right? Scott says gas was $3.69 tonight in Fort Worth. It was $2.39 3 weeks ago. Yeah, see, that's what we're used to, is the $2.30, $2.40, $2.70, as much as it has gone up, that we're used to, and now it's over three. So yeah, it's affecting all of it, right? But that touches every part of our economy. And so for us as prepared warriors, we have to understand that ripple effect. That's why I say we got to think beyond the pump. I know the pump is the one thing that we use the most, but we have to remember that it's not just the pump that this thing touches, it touches a lot of things that we are not even thinking of, right? And so we need to ask the questions: do we have enough food stored? Do we have enough water? Are we financially prepared for inflation? And are we reducing unnecessary spending? These are important questions to ask ourselves because all of the things are going to go up. OVP says, I bought some coffee from the Amish over the weekend, and it's good. Okay, OVP, I see what you're doing. You want me to send you some coffee? All right, send me an email with your address. I'll send it to you, my friend. So we have to ask those questions because preparation is about wisdom. I say that all the time, right? It's about wisdom and stewardship. Are we prepared for these things? Even if they don't happen, we're still going to have the things that we've worked hard to prepare, right? And so JBS meat packing plant in Colorado went on strike today, and that can affect beef prices. Yes, eventually, too, if they don't resolve their contracts. Thank you for sharing that, Tammy, because that's an important thing to look out for too. And you're right. That can affect a lot of things, especially if they're a big company, right? Because that will make those prices go up. OVP says Fernando will do. Send it to me. And so it's important for us to prepare, and it's all about wisdom and it's all about stewardship, right? So preparedness begins with awareness, right? And I think this is just the key point here that I want everybody to understand tonight. Preparedness doesn't begin in your pantry. Preparedness begins with awareness, right? It's being aware, it's being knowledgeable of what's happening. The Bible tells us to stay vigilant, right? To be sober minded, right? We have to be aware. Most people walk through life distracted, right? I see it all the time. People are walking and they're walking into the store or whatever, and they're scrolling on their phone. They have their headphones plugged in or over their ears, and they're scrolling as they're walking, really not paying attention to things. Um, they're distracted by entertainment. They're distracted by noise, right? I see a lot of people that fall into that, right? They're not paying attention to what is happening around them. But we have to be different, right? We have to have this mindset that we watch, right? Warriors watch, warriors observe, right? Warriors prepare. That's what we do. And we notice, when patterns begin to change and we adjust, right? Because there's going to be an adjustment that we're going to have to do if gas prices go up, right? There's going to be adjustment that we're going to have to do if food prices go up, right? There's going to be adjustment that we're going to have to do if shipping is affected, right? Because we're probably not going to be able to afford shipping. And so it is going to touch all of that. And so we don't look at it in fear, right? Because God doesn't give us that spirit, but we look at it out of wisdom, right? Jesus told us to watch, right? Jesus actually addressed this exact issue. He told his disciples to remain alert and watchful. In Matthew 24:42, Jesus said, therefore, keep watch because you do not know on what day your Lord will come, right? The word watch here is important. I want you to know this. It means to stay awake. It means to stay alert. It means to remain aware. It means to remain vigilant, stay prepared, right? Jesus is warning his followers not to live spiritually asleep. And a lot of people live spiritually asleep. And I believe that this applies to us today. I truly believe that it applies to us. Prepared warriors stay awake spiritually, mentally, and physically. We don't bury our heads in the sand, but we also don't panic because our hope is not in the stability of the world. It is our hope is in the Lord, right? And that's so important for us to understand. OVP says, I buy all my food from the Amish. Just went grocery shopping on Friday and posted a video. All right, I'm going to have to check that out. I'm excited to see that. So do that. If you guys are close to an Amish community, do that. That is good because those guys are prepared. We have a Mormon store here that I want to visit, and there's certain days I think that non-Mormons can go. So I got to figure that out, and I will record that too. So we just have to know that our hope is in God, and He is the one that where we put our trust in, right? You know, when we trust the Lord, He's the one who directs our steps. And I think that's just so important for us to do. So tonight, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. You don't have to put this in the chat unless you want to, but you should ask yourself, am I paying attention to what is happening around me? And I would go a little further. What is happening around me? What is happening in my state? What is happening in the US? And what is happening in our world that I need to be aware of, right? Because you gotta look at the ripple effects, right? So if something is happening in your area, the ripple effects are going to be very quick. If it's your state, the ripple effects are a little further out. The United States, further out. Our world, even further out. But those ripple effects eventually come to us. So when you look at it in that way, when it happens over there is time to prepare. When it happens in our state, there is kind of time to prepare. When it happens in our area, there's probably no time to prepare. So what are we, are we paying attention to what is happening around us, right? The next question is, am I preparing my household wisely, right? Are you doing the things, right? Are you stocking food? Are you making sure that you have plenty of water in case there's none later on? Are you preparing your protection preventative measures, right? Without saying choice words. Are you building on those things? Are you bringing home that box of freedom fries? Are you storing them well? Are you putting them away? Are you practicing with them, right? Because that's important too. So are you preparing your household wisely? The next one is, and I think most importantly, am I spiritual ready for whatever may come? And that's an important question because in the time that we are in now, right, it's easy to say, well, I think I am mentally prepared for things. I think that I am, spiritually prepared for things. But what about when the tough time really comes? Are we going to be prepared spiritually and mentally? Physically, we may be prepared. We may have all the stuff. But are we really prepared to deal with loss? Are we prepared to deal with violation? Are we prepared to deal with having to defend our home? Are we prepared to, take care of a sick loved one? Maybe, am I prepared to help somebody who has hurt themselves really badly in their preparedness? And I need more things than Band-Aids, right? I am thinking on that level now. I'm thinking on that, right? Because I have all of the small things. All of those small things are, have been done. It's now next for me to move into the space of, Fernando, are you prepared medically for this situation? Fernando, are you prepared, to, uh, how are you going to have food when there is no more food at the grocery store? Everything's been, taken away. How are you going to sustain, right? I'm going to be honest with you. Last year I planted some stuff and it was growing. It was great, but I didn't prepare for the things that love those plants and love to eat them. And so, this year I am planning for all of that. And right now I have planted potatoes in a bin, and it's a pretty big bin. And I think I had like maybe 5 potatoes, and I've cut them, right, because there was eyes everywhere on these potatoes. And I put them out there, planted them, and guess what? They're growing. We just had rain, some rain not too long ago. We're in the cold right now, but it's not freezing, but it's cold, and they're growing. So this week, my goal is now next to plant all of my peppers, all of that stuff, because we're in prime time for that, right? So what am I doing? What is Fernando doing for the event that there's going to be no food? Am I ready for that? So right now, I am preparing to learn how to do all of that. So, you know, I am kicking it up on my end, the next notch up on preparedness, because I want to make sure that I am preparing wisely for my family. So that's what I want to challenge you guys, is to ask yourself these questions. And am I prepared to do those things, right? Um, because preparedness is not just about surviving difficult times. Preparedness is about living wisely in uncertain times, right? That's what we do as God's prepared warriors, right? We are aware, we are disciplined, and we keep our faith anchored to the Lord. And so I think it's important for all of us now to pay attention to the small ripple effects that are happening in all of these things in our world, right? Here where you are, outside of where you are, in our nation, and in the world, because all of those things are going to affect us down the line, all the way down to us going and getting our food from the store, right? So think beyond the gas pump, right? We always go there. We always think, all this stuff that's happening over there, it's going to affect my fuel price. Yes, and it's also going to touch a whole lot of other things that we actually don't think about on a daily basis, because they just kind of happen, right? Shipping costs are going to go up. Food prices are going to go up. Are we prepared? Guys, thank you for joining my live tonight. Continue to ask questions in the chat here. I will still be able to see them, and I still will answer you guys. Feel free to email me at God's Prepared Warrior. Let's see, God's Prepared Warrior at gmail.com. Send me an email if you guys want to join me in November camping here in Texas. I can give you all the information. Shoot me an email. Say, hey, I'm interested in that. What does that look like? What is the logistics of that? And we are planning Bug Out Weekend here in Texas, and it's going to be in the Hill Country in Kerrville is where we're going to be camping, and it's going to be a whole fun time. So make sure that you shoot me that email, and we're going to be putting that together already, and we're going to be doing that here in Thanksgiving weekend here in Texas. So make sure that you send me that email so I can get you on the list. Next thing, thank you guys for praying for us. We are doing okay, and God is good. He is restoring a lot of things, and He is with us. So thank you guys for that. This last week, I didn't do too many videos because my father went to the emergency room. He had a very small stroke. They called it a TIA, and it is a very small clot that kind of passes, and it gets through, but it causes all of those symptoms. He was rushed Tuesday morning to the hospital all week. I was with him there in the hospital, him and my mom, and I finally got to come home on Saturday, and he is doing well. So keep praying for my dad, and he is a United States veteran. He fought in the Vietnam War, and he is a treasure to me and my family. And all of your prayers would be welcome. He's thankful for all the people that have been praying for him here recently, and so I'm going to take a picture with him soon so that you guys can see my dad, and he can give you the thumbs up that he's doing all right. All right, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. You have all the I want to encourage all of you that if you have any questions to ask me, you can shoot me an email, godspreparedwarrior@gmail.com, and ask me all kinds of questions that you want. I'll answer you. Comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That's important. Make sure you check out all these guys that are here tonight: OVP, Rule 2IC, Grit and Grace. All of these guys that have a channel that have been here with me tonight, follow them, and they have a lot of great content on their channels too as well. Guys, thank you for joining me. Scott, Glenn, Shelly, you guys, Tammy, that was in here also. And just thank you guys for joining me tonight. All of you over here on TikTok that have joined me tonight. God bless you, and thank you for being here with me again tonight. Have a great night, guys, and I'm praying for you always. Be safe out there. Hope to see you on tomorrow's video. God bless. See you in the morning.